Textureless Terry, I thought I'd never have to see your ugly mug again. Hello everyone, Lopal Levi here today, and you may be wondering why I'm in a dark cave. Well, long story short, because I've been relegated to the B-plot, I've been on the run for my life because an old foe showed up. This is my cave of contingency, where I keep everything I need for a large threat. Sadly though, I've been skipping out on paying for electricity for this place, so I've been on hold with the power company for the past hour. So, hey, why don't I tell you about my video that I had scheduled for this week? It goes a little something like this. Hello everyone, Lopal Levi here, and today I got something special for you. Now, if you've been on my channel for a while, you know I talk a lot about Mario Horror Games. I really like talking about them, and I really like playing them. However, one thing I found over my time of playing these games is that some of the best of them are not finished. Now, of course, this isn't the rule for everything. Fallen Kingdom by Marco Antonio is amazing, and it's a finished, short, and sweet experience. Same with Welcome Luigi by Randy Becker. In fact, I recently just got an update with some balancing changes in a short story mode. But those are really only just a couple standouts. One of my favorites of all time is Crucis Mortem by White Void, and that's only a demo right now, so it got me thinking, what if I covered some more smaller, unfinished games in a compilation to try to get some more eyes on them? So today I went all over Gamejolt and found 3 of the most promising Mario horror games at the moment. Oh yeah, speaking of Gamejolt, I have a Gamejolt account. If you want, you can go follow me over there. I'd appreciate that. Maybe I'll start posting some stuff over there, but either way, it'll let you see what I'm playing, so maybe you can get an early insight into upcoming videos. Alright, with that shameless self-plug out of the way, let's get right into the first game, which is Mario Reimagined by Inferno64 on Gamejolt is a Mario horror game that's made to look just like a regular fan reimagining of the original Mario Bros. But just by looking at the rating, we can tell that it's something more. Only the prologue is available right now, but I think it's still well worth your time. Booting into the game, we're launched into a cutscene with this weird talking purple star. It asks for our name and then our favorite color, and he seems pretty nice. His name is Dreamweaver, and he promises to make our dreams come true. But, if he's really gonna make my dreams come true, this is gonna get M-rated really fast. He then asks us to mold our dreams and hands us this weird rock, and by clicking it, we give it shape. We then do it 2 more times, and all combined, we have a Mario, with a really great sprite, might I say. Dreamweaver then enters the Mario body, and we're transported to this beautiful palace with this amazing music in the back. It's some really great ambience. We then have to train the Dreamweaver in the Mario body to be like Mario, and might I say it again, this Mario sprite is actually really great. It's expressive and detailed all at the same time. We've got our standard Mario fare of movement, but also we have the super jump like in Super Mario Bros. 2, and we've got a dive like in Super Mario Odyssey. It's really fun to use. The weirdest thing about this training, however, is at the end we have to kill Luigi. It's not gruesome at all, but it's just kind of odd. After everything is done, he congratulates us and jumps down, and we get another cutscene, and he looks right at us and expresses how happy he is to see us face to face with real eyes. And then he... oh no. The Mario body starts rotting and decomposing while he's still alive before he flees to the shadows, and when he comes back, he's nothing but a skeleton. This is honestly a really nice cutscene with some really great art, and I personally think his speech is really elegant and beautiful. I really enjoy when horror is matched with beauty because they're complete opposites, but they just work so well together. The idea of this Dreamweaver desperately trying to make us happy and failing to, and being apologetic and sad, it's quite an intriguing premise. I've said it before, but I love when these Mario horror antagonists have some personality and some motives and other such things. It's not always required, but it's appreciated when it's there. Another thing I want to mention is that the creator, Inferno64, has a YouTube channel with some featured videos about the game, and we get to see what some of the gameplay might look like, and it looks fantastic. There's also some story elements in these videos, but if you want to see those, you're going to have to check it out for yourself. As always, links to all the games mentioned and creators mentioned will be in the description. There's really not enough people talking about this game, so go follow it on Gamejolt, go subscribe to Inferno64, and play the game for yourself. I think this prologue and these screenshots show a game with a lot of potential and a lot of promise, and I think this may very well end up being the best Mario Horror fan game of all time. There is a lot of talent behind this game, including the one and only White Void behind Crucis Mortem working on the art, which I could definitely tell. It definitely has the White Void touch, so to speak. But yeah, I'm telling you, this game is going to end up being amazing, and apparently the first true demo for the game is coming out soon, so I'll make sure I'll talk about that when it comes out. Alright, with the first game out of the way, it's time I talk about the second game of the night, which is...
You'll shoot.
Crimson Memories, sick title by the way, by Dooblajicoo on Gamejolt, sorry if I mispronounced that, for the Luigi Kid EXE Challenge number 4. The story in the description says that Mario was looking for a new source of power to beat Bowser, and that's it. It says you have to discover the rest, so why don't we do that? We spawn in this honestly quite beautiful palace area in the clouds. The atmosphere is pretty much on point here. Not only is the setting beautiful, but so are Mario's sprites. He's so cartoony and expressive. He almost reminds me of classic Mickey Mouse in a way. For the most part, the physics in this game feel pretty alright, though I have to mention it takes a lot of time for Mario to run. Not like picking up momentum, it's almost like changing gears in a stick shift. I don't know how to describe it. Also, I died to wall jumps like a lot, but that was my fault because for some reason I kept treating it like it was Super Metroid. And if you've played Super Metroid, you know how that works, and you know that's not how a Mario game works. But for some reason I couldn't stop. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm addicted to Super Metroid. Overall, though, this first level is actually pretty well designed with some pretty fair difficulty, and there's also a lot of fun P-switch segments, which you don't really see a lot of in these types of games. Upon nearing the end, the screen flashes, and when it comes back, Mario has red and black tentacles coming out of his back, and he has his head buried in his hands, and he monologues apologetically about not being able to save everyone. After everything goes back to normal, we walk more to the right, and this bridge breaks beneath our feet, dropping us into an underground level, and we actually get to pick up a torch to light up the small area around us. However, there's also some occasional torches on the wall to mark other areas to make jumping around easier. At the end of the level, we find the fabled ancient star and pick it up before... That cutscene was honestly so epic and cinematic for no reason, but, I'm not complaining, it was really cool. Now we play as an evil Mario with a muted color palette and no eyes, and we even unlock a new attack and we can shoot tentacles out of our mouth as a sort of punch. Honestly, this is really awesome. You usually don't unlock anything in EXE games, but this is a whole new move and mechanic. We can even use it to attack enemies and even break certain walls. It's amazing. I hope in the final game we can unlock even more moves as we progress, like maybe a double jump or slow fall, maybe even a ground pound, I don't know. After leaving the underground area, we see this awesome red palace place with floating stars and raining blood. There's also this cool power-up that turns out to be a jump scare, which honestly kind of got me when I first played this, I'm not gonna lie. Mario stops and looks around before jumping down, and now we're in the good old Mushroom Kingdom. And again, it honestly looks super amazing with these detailed parallax scrolling backgrounds. Also, we can brutally kill any enemy just by walking into it, which is pretty cool. After reaching the end, we find this Toad guard, and Mario brutally kills him before mangling his corpse and lighting it on fire, which is super messed up, but, it's also kind of cool, so I'm not complaining. We walk into Toad Town and try to act normal, however, it all kind of goes to crap when we find this castle, and, Well, looks like we messed up. We now have to kill all the toads in the village, and as your local toad enjoyer, this was very difficult to come to terms with, but after having an internal battle for about 45 minutes, I knew what I had to do. I brutally murdered all the toads, not only the men, but also the women and the children, just for Mario to say oops and then jump scare me really loudly, which, again, kinda got me. Well, anyway, the credits are nice, until they're not, and then they're scary. Now, while this is kind of the ending to the game, it also kind of isn't. In the download, there was a password-protected RAR file, with the password being, I'm sorry. Inside are a ton of videos, and while some are just some,
It's me, Mario, and I need to get to the next level!
amazing memes, others hold secrets. One of the videos instructs us to open the .ini file and edit the level to be 1985. By doing so, we can get a secret level where we play as Luigi after the Toad Town massacre. Everything is gray and the toad bodies are all around with blood everywhere. Reaching the end of the level, Luigi turns around and sees Mario before the game closes. There's a couple more secrets in the game, but I'll leave those for you to find. As always, all of the games talked about today will be linked in the description, so you can play it for yourself, and of course you should also follow the creators of these games on Gamejolt to stay up to date. This game is also very promising and really cool. It looks great, it feels great, and I think it's going to be really fun to be able to play as the evil Mario and do all the evil stuff, and then be able to switch to Luigi and see it all through his perspective. And like I mentioned earlier, I think it'd be really cool if we could unlock new abilities as we progressed. Either way, though, I think it's going to be a really fun and really interesting experience. And at the end of the day, it's a very promising demo, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Now, it's time for the final game of the night, which is
You'll shoot.
Dominium Fun Gorum by Godhead on Gamejolt. Also for the Luigi Kid EXE Challenge number 4 is the final game of the night. It says in the description that it takes a lot of inspiration from the old side of EXEs, as well as some of the newer titles. I think combining the old school and the new school is always a good decision, paying respect for those who paved the road before you, while also continuing to move on. The game claims to be a copy of an old fan game that's been lost to time, however it's been modified by someone else, with apparently disturbing imagery added. Well, that sounds fun. Let's-a go! Booting into the title screen, we apparently have one Eve Garcia to thank for this game, so, thanks, Eve. We're, of course, playing as Luigi, and immediately the game feels pretty alright physics-wise, however, you can't hit the question mark blocks, which was a staple in old fan games, so maybe this is just here to better mimic the old fan games, who knows. The level is pretty standard Mario fare until we pass this dilapidated castle and the sky gets dark as we move past these strange mushrooms growing everywhere, until this large hand reaches out and grabs Luigi and we meet our monster, this disgusting thing wearing Mario's clothes. This is honestly some really great art. I'm getting some Crucis Mortem vibes off of it. We're now in a stealth section where the Mario monster is walking in the background and we have to try to avoid him. When we stand behind these blocks, we are not visible to him. However, when we're out in the open, he'll instantly kill us if he sees us with this simple jump scare. However, my only real complaint with this game comes up here. It uses this kind of goofy jump scare sound that I'm pretty sure is a FNAF jump scare sound, but I could be wrong, and it kind of takes away a lot of the scare. I think a better jump scare sound would just be, just an 8-bit sound. I mean, hey, the background music is 8-bit and it sounds great. Suspenseful yet epic, that's how I describe it. So yeah, long story short, the jump scare sound is a little bit goofy, but that's only really a small problem that I'm sure could be easily fixed. Now, back to the game. Outside of the Mario monster, whose design is even cooler from this angle as we get to see his worm head with all these mushrooms growing out of his shoulders, there's also these weird Goomba-type things called giblets or whatever, which are another good example of the really cool body horror in this game. They're almost an incomprehensible mess of pixels, but looking at it closer, you can see what looks to be a bunch of eyes and mouths writhing around, and it's pretty gross. However, I really like these kind of gross designs. Stuff like this is always a breath of fresh air from all the blood and guts of the past. After reaching the end, we get to see the monster again, and he actually warns us about the fog in the next level, which, yeah, there's a lot of fog in the next level. I honestly really love the atmosphere. There's, again, some really great music, and of course you can see for yourself how great this area looks. It's just cool. At the end, the Mario Mushroom Monster, who I'm going to call MMM for short now, shows up and simply says, "Find me," kind of ominous. However, this error screen pops up instructing us on how to make our PC not detect the game as a virus, signed by Eve, of course. Well, that ain't good. Looking back at the Gamejolt page, it said that Eve passed away during the development of this game, and it was actually her brother who finished the game. This screen implies that Eve had joined some kind of cult, as she talks about a god infiltrating her body. She also talks about spreading the good word, which sounds, very suspicious to me. Once we get back into the game, we're in a castle, and there's these statues of MMM everywhere, alongside tons of mangled Mario bodies with mushrooms growing from them. After running to the end, the music cuts before the screen goes black, and we're suddenly transported to a room with MMM watching over us, and we have to quickly go down the pipe, and sadly, that's where it ends. I honestly really love this game. I really like the body horror on display with MMM. It's such a cool design, man. The game looks good, the levels are well designed, the atmosphere, especially in that foggy level, is really great, and overall, just rocks, man. I'm so excited to see where all these games go, man. They're all so promising, and I hope you think that too. And if you did, make sure you go down in the description and click on the Gamejolt links, and you can play the games for yourselves and follow the developers. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you press the like button and maybe even subscribe and hit the bell. Maybe you can leave a comment if you feel like you have something to say. And with all that being said, I've been Lopal Levi, you've been a great viewer, and so yeah, that was it. I know my storytelling skills were quite impeccable, and you felt like you were almost there in a way. Ain't that kind of crazy? Oh, and as I'm sure you can tell, the lights are actually back on, so that's pretty cool. Alright, well, I guess I gotta start preparing for this battle. Wish me luck, guys.